Hello and welcome back. The weather is great these days. It's really warm and you really know how summer is right around the corner. So what better time to do my summer reading list? It's a long one. This is a list of books that I would like to finish this summer. Most of those I've already started them, but I have this bad habit of starting a lot of books at the same time and never actually finishing any of them. So this summer is the time when I will try to actually read all the books I have on my list. So if I haven't actually finished all those books till the end of August, everyone is going to know how much of a big loser I am. And I'm going to expose myself now and take this as a challenge to actually finish them. So, the first book on our list is Kafka's Letters to his father. This is a really small book, so I'm hoping I actually finish this one. So, this is an autobiographical essay that explains the troubled relationship between Kafka and his father and how all the drama and the abuse in his childhood affected him in his adult life. It is basically a book about Kafka's daddy issues, to summarize it. I'm sorry. After reading The Metamorphosis and loving it, I'm hoping I'm actually going to love this too. So the thing is, I never actually bought this book myself. I've had it in my bookshelf for like years and I just rediscovered it and I decided it's time to read it. So when I was 15 years old, I used to go to this bookstore a lot and the owner knew me and he knew I loved classic literature, and so one day he was like, take this book, it's a gift, I know you're going to love it. And I never actually read it, and I think it's time to actually read it this summer. The next book is Junky by William Burroughs. So this is a book about drugs. Wow, no one thought. So the plot follows Bill, the protagonist, who takes his first shot of morphine and his life starts to fall apart after that. He starts to do drugs, he starts to depend on drugs and slowly starts to fall in the world of crime in New York City. Some people also view this as an autobiographical novel. I heard that the protagonist of this book is insufferable, and that's why I'm here. I love insufferable characters. So basically, getting into the head and understanding the psychology of a drug addict is something that is really interesting to me. So I have high hopes for this book. It is also really short. So hope I finish this summer. For the next book, we have The Collector by John Fowles. I actually started reading this book a long time ago. I've almost finished it. This is what I need to read this summer, okay? So I have an idea of what is going on and it's actually a really good book. I don't know why I gave up on reading it. Probably because I started reading another book and then another book, and you know how this goes. The plot of this book follows our protagonist, who's a lonely young man obsessed with collecting butterflies. But his obsession doesn't only stop at collecting butterflies, he starts to have a huge obsession with a young girl, an art student. And what he does is he kidnaps her and he keeps her as a hostage in his cellar, in his farmhouse. That man is obsessed to the point of craziness. He starts to see this girl as like one of his butterflies in his collection. He sees her as this really pretty being that he wants to keep to himself. So I'm going to read you a passage from the book to give you a taste. From the outset, the link between Miranda, butterflies and violence is clear, as Fred describes, her hair as silky, like burnt cocoons. How seeing her always made me feel like I was catching a rarity. But that, after seeing her with another man, he has the bad dreams, where she cried or usually knelt. Once I let myself dream, I hit her across the face as I saw it done by a chap in a teleplay. So he's basically crazy and obsessed, and I'm all here for it. As I said, I have this thing where I love really bad, insufferable main characters. I really like to get into their mind and their psychology and to understand the way of thinking, the way a crazy person thinks. It is really interesting to me. So, I'm going to finish this one. It's only a few pages, I mean, I can do it. The next book on my list is Dante's Inferno. This is a classic. And what I mean by that, it is a difficult classic. It is a really long poem and a difficult one. So it follows Dante, who alongside with the guidance of the poet Virgil descends through the 9 circles of hell till he finally reaches the 9th circle where Satan himself resides. The reason I really want to finally finish this book is because it is referenced literally everywhere, in movies, in books, in art. So I want to know what everyone is talking about. I want to understand those references. Like, I know the basics. I know about the 9 circles of hell, what each one represents. I know about the deadly sins, but I want to have the knowledge of the original source material. Also, if I finish this one, I would like to be able to finish Purgatorio and Paradiso also. They're not referenced that much, they're not as popular as Inferno, but I really need to read those ones too. I'm really excited for this one. I've already started reading it, and it is Brothers Karamazov by Dostoevsky. I love Dostoevsky. Crime and Punishment, it is the best book ever written. And I've heard actually that Brothers Karamazov is even better, and it seems like it is. It's even more complex. Dostoevsky, it is the last book Dostoevsky wrote at 60 years old. It is rumored that there was going to be a sequel to this one, but Dostoevsky died just 4 months after the publication of this, so we never got to have a sequel, which sucks. This book is a murder mystery on the same theme as Crime and Punishment, even though this one is a lot more complex. So, the plot of this book follows 3 brothers. Their father gets murdered and they are all suspects to the crime. This book explores the human nature and the morality and challenges the existence of God. This is a deeply philosophical novel and a really challenging one, and I'm really excited about it. I'm definitely finishing this one. So, to kind of change this dark and gloomy theme of really heavy classics, we have The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a fantasy book. I actually love fantasy, even though I don't read a lot of it. So this follows Jude, and our main protagonist, whose parents get murdered, and she and her sisters are forced to go live in the fairyland, where she faces a lot of discrimination as a human, even though she really longs to be a knight. Her father forbids her, but she overcomes all of this discrimination. This is a really light-hearted book compared to the other ones, but you know, it is summer. Sometimes we all want like more light read and something to take our head off the really heavy concepts of the human nature and God and the crazy main character. So I am also going to take a break and read an easier book for a change. So for the last book, I have a really interesting and not so popular one I found in a thrift store like a long time ago. It is the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. This book is basically a Buddhist philosophy. It is an acclaimed spiritual masterpiece. The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying is a manual for life and death and a magnificent source of sacred inspiration from the heart of the Tibetan tradition. So Gyalrin Poach, I can't pronounce his name of the author, I'm sorry, delivers a lucid and inspiring introduction to the practice of meditation, to the nature of mind, to karma and rebirth, to compassionate love and care for the dying, and to the trials and rewards of the spiritual path. This jewel of Tibetan wisdom is the definitive new spiritual classic of our times. So this is a book about Buddhist philosophy. It is a really strange concept to me, and I would like to have knowledge on the subject. It seems interesting, so I'm going to read this really different book. I hope I will finish all of those books. Oh, and I almost forgot. I also have to finish the Da Vinci Code. I'm in the middle. This book by Dan Brown. So this book kind of receives a lot of hate, and I do not understand why. It's actually really interesting. People, it is just fiction. I know that it is challenging a lot of religious themes about Christianity, but after all, we need to remember that this is just fiction. It's a book with really interesting ideas, actually. So this book follows Robert Langdon, who's a symbologist, and Sophie Nouveau, who is a cryptologist, and they get involved in a murder that's happening in the Louvre. And that leads them to a battle between two secret organizations who are based around Christianity and Jesus Christ to unvolve the really big mystery and secret that's been hidden for years. This book has a lot of art history and symbolism, and there's been a lot of research done, honestly, for this book. It is challenging some themes about Christianity, and it is a really interesting book so far. I've already read half of it. I'm definitely finishing this one. So that's all for today. That is my long summer reading list of books I will probably never going to finish. Just kidding, I'm going to try. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you didn't and you hate me, that's fine. You can block me and never watch my videos again. For the rest of you though, we'll talk again in my next video. Bye bye.